funny, but I'd always reckoned the oil-rich Abu Dhabi here in the UAE was never that interested in attracting tourists, unlike its flashy, noisy neighbour Dubai, for example. But on this trip, I think I might have to revise that opinion.
Because Abu Dhabi seems to be upping its game, especially in the cultural stakes. On my journey, I'm going to experience world-renowned architecture like the new Louvre Museum, and finding out how traditional local musical instruments are being revived. But I'll also be exploring both urban and desert landscapes to get a sense of how this emirate is making the most of its unique environment. Abu Dhabi is entering a new phase in its breakneck speed development, but is it really going to reach the heights as a must-see tourist destination in its own right? It's hard to believe Abu Dhabi was just a fishing village only a few decades ago. In 1971, the United Arab Emirates became a nation, and its dominant stakeholder has always been Abu Dhabi, led by the Al Nahyan family, thanks largely to huge oil revenues. And when it opened in 2007, this impressive white marble edifice became a spiritual landmark.
Abu Dhabi's Grand Mosque. Grand in ambition, grand in scale, and grand in design. And when it was finished a decade ago, it became this Emirates' calling card to the rest of the world. Now, when they made this mosque, they were making a statement, weren't they?
Oh, yeah.
About Abu Dhabi.
Absolutely.
What were they trying to say?
I think, you know, when people think about the United Arab Emirates or the Middle East, the first city that comes to your mind is definitely Dubai. But I think after we built this mosque, and it was the vision of the late His Highness Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, he knew that this was going to be the icon that will bring people to Abu Dhabi and will show the true message of the Middle East.
10,000 visitors come here every day. Inside, up to 40,000 worshippers can be accommodated on key days in the Islamic calendar.
Just look at the details of every single part of the mosque. It's absolutely beautiful. The carpet is from Iran. You have the chandeliers up above us.
In fact, this is the largest hand-knotted carpet in the world, and this gold chandelier is one of the biggest in the world. Islam is regarded here as a living, breathing faith, with verses from the Quran the inspiration for all the design and architecture here. But I wanted to know from Omar if the grand vision in Abu Dhabi really includes everyone who lives here, like the expat community and the migrants who work in relatively low-paid jobs. After all, the Emiratis are in the minority here.
Just look around you, you'll find a lot of people from all over the world in all different backgrounds who come here and have made this place home. The US always used to sell the American dream. There is the Emirati dream, believe it or not. The Emirati dream is definitely living a great quality standard of life and, of course, living amongst people from all over the world. This is definitely the Emirati dream.
In the wake of this jewel in the crown have come other signature large-scale projects. On Saadiyat Island, a cluster of magnificent museums and galleries include quite possibly the most prestigious art brand in the world, which has just recently opened its doors.
For a decade now, the Grand Mosque has been Abu Dhabi's most popular tourist attraction. until this astonishing creation came along.
The Louvre Abu Dhabi houses artifacts on loan from Paris and others bought and permanent. From ancient pieces to African sculptures, facing European masterpieces from every era. While contemporary Arabic art shares space with Chinese sculpture.
It's a universal museum. It's a museum that takes you through time and through different geographies. You'll be able to see different cultures and different civilizations in contact with one another. In a way, to me, walking through the galleries is walking through time and seeing what's happening in different parts of the world at the same moment.
There is a Medina or Arabic village feel to the layout. And as for the architecture here, well, it's all about geometry and light.
It's a dome symbolizing an Islamic architecture, but as you can see, there's 8 layers up there that allows the light to filter through and come down, as you can see it, with what the architect calls the rain of light. So this whole display of the museum is, in a way, representing who we are as Emiratis, because we've always been in the middle of this region. The Gulf has always been a connection of trade and different civilizations. So going through this narrative allows you to capture the essence of who we are, the essence of who the UAE is today.
And the museum has yet to reveal its most publicised exhibit, a 500-year-old painting of Christ, which recently achieved the highest auction price for any work of art by the very same artist who created this, Leonardo da Vinci.
So basically, the chances are that the world's most expensive painting is going to be in this room, possibly in this very spot.
At 400 million.
Exactly who bought the Salvator Mundi for nearly $500 million has been shrouded in some mystery. Reports claimed it was a Saudi billionaire prince. The Louvre people tell me it was the Abu Dhabi government. Either way, it'll be on display very soon. Watch this space, literally. Playing the cultural card here is not just about splashing cash on famous international brands and collections. There are indigenous art forms that are being revived, like traditional Arabic instruments. In this academy, 60 students of all ages are learning how to play this instrument, the oud. It's related to the European lute and has origins as far back as the time of the pharaohs.
What's really great about this place is that you don't just learn how to play the oud, you can actually watch one being made, starting with the wood itself, and this is where the whole process begins.
The craftsman here says by working 8 hours a day for a month, he can make 2 of these instruments. This is artisanship of the highest order.
Thank you so much. It's been a privilege to watch you at work. Thank you. So fresh from the workshop. Now let's see if we can make any music out of it. And I'm not going to find out more about the oud from just anybody, but actually, quite possibly, the most famous female oud player in the world. What's unique about it?
The unique, it has a ball at the back, not like the guitar, it's not a flat, so it gives, this ball gives like deepness in the sound, and also we don't have frets.
Right.
So that gives richness.
Yeah.
particularly in Abu Dhabi, I think the oud is very important for them, for all the people, because you can find in every home, you can find an oud. Maybe they are playing it like just for, maybe for fun, for not very professionally, but they like oud here.
OK, time for me to get a lesson from the expert. These double strings are a bit tricky for a start off.
Very good.
Okay, that's relatively
That's
easy.
very good for the first time.
Can you play chords with this? Or?
Chords, yes, sure. This is C, E, G, C.
Sorry, C.
Third finger.
Let's hope this works.
Yeah, it will. Yes.
Is that?
Yes.
Wow.
And sometimes we are using the guitar technique like.
I just
That's very
jammed
good for
with,
the first time. Wow, that
I
was
just
very
jammed
good.
with a
No,
world
that was
famous.
very good.
No, but I was lucky. I was just playing one note, one chord. That's amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Of course, culture isn't only about fine art and classical music. Now Abu Dhabi is staking its claim as the capital of sport in the Gulf, and not just by owning the elite football brand Manchester City or by hosting Formula One races. Because women like Amal are breaking new cultural ground by turning iconic urban landmarks like the Corniche into concrete gyms. Amal is the first Emirati woman to coach and compete in parkour.
It's a full body workout.
People underestimate just how much you've been using. There are so many things that you're actually doing that you could do at a gym, but you're just doing it outdoors in a different way. Find a space and you start trying different things on that space that you have.
When was the epiphany that when you suddenly thought, actually, I can do this?
Since I was a child, I was always the rebel in the neighborhood. Like I was, you know, the one running around, and it was the way that we were brought up was literally, you know, barefoot on concrete. Girls used to play with boys, and we used to beat the boys. Like the girls were the stronger ones, you know. I feel like we have created these barriers for ourselves, especially when I first started parkour, for example. I thought that the society wouldn't accept me, and I was so afraid, but I felt like that was actually, you know, instilled with me as a child. Like I felt I was afraid of it, but when I started doing the sport, I had so much support, and it surprised me because it's actually contradictory to what people might have thought about a society, especially in the Middle East, and it being, you know, an Arabic country, you know.
Amal has created such a stir that Nike picked her up for sponsorship and commercials.
Of course, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone is gonna like what I'm doing, but I feel like if you're genuine, like for me, sports has shaped me since childhood, and that's super important. That's the message that I wanted.
From the restricted subways of an urban jungle, my journey takes me to the wondrous allure of a seemingly limitless desert, Abu Dhabi's defining feature. Little wonder it was one of the locations for the most recent Star Wars movie.
3.5 hours southwest of the big city is the vast expanse of desert called Lيوا. It's the UAE's driest region, It's remote, but beautiful.
It's a world apart from the big city. At this annual sports festival, there are camel and horse races. But basically, this is party time for petrol heads, attracting tens of thousands from all over the Gulf region.
When you just like enter this area, even the kid, his adrenaline is just reached to the top, you know? It's like the feeling of the excitement.
The adrenaline.
Yeah.
And truth be told, it's very much a male domain. Boy racers and supposedly respectable grown-ups too bring their four-wheel drives and buggies for a romp on the dunes. And you don't get much bigger than the Tal Marib. 300 metres high at an incline of 50 degrees.
It's crazy here, it's madness, anarchy almost. All these boy racers and man racers getting it out of their system. But I'm going to meet a guy now who's a bit of a seasoned campaigner here. Mohammed, hi. How are you? Can I pop in and you show me a little bit of skills?
By day, Mohammed is the director of his own business, whilst also studying for a PhD. But this is his real passion.
I think I was born with this thing in my blood. So I remember like when they used to wake me up for school, and you know, when we were kids, like, oh, come on, I want to sleep a little more. And they would say, Mohammed, here are the keys, go and start your brother's car. And I will just jump out of bed and go, just for that, you know, moment and excitement, yeah.
So Mohammed, tell me, how long have you been coming to this festival for?
I recall I came the first time here in 2006. It has been growing so fast. Initially, I recall we used to come and find only few tents. Right now, it is like a complete festival.
Can you show me a few of the things that you do?
I can.
Whoa! Wow! Hey, fantastic!
This car is like as it came from the factory. So from the factory, it has around 250 horsepower. It will not be enough to take us to the top.
Yeah.
But I refuse to give up.
You know what? I've been looking at one of the world's highest and steepest sand dunes for a while now. I really want to reach the top. And luckily, I've got myself a lift.
Meanwhile, it turns out my man Mohammed, who took me for a spin on the dune earlier, isn't just an average punter here. He's a serious competitor in the nightly races between teams.
This is one of the world famous car race, around 30 to 40 cars per event, per day. So imagine in 2 days you have around 50 cars competing.
And he's back after a lengthy gap, when a mechanical failure in a race here put him in serious peril.
I had a smooth race, to be honest, until the top. And all of a sudden, the car stopped. On the way back, I lost the brakes. Seriously? Yeah.
Right.
No, actually, they didn't work.
Oh, they didn't work?
Yeah.
Mohammed wasn't injured, but it's been 3 years since that incident.
Maybe before that time, I was almost easy on safety measures.
Yeah.
No, no.
Now you're a different guy. You're a different man. You're a different. Yeah.
The engines alone of some of these cars cost up to $80,000 each, and royal families and famous name sponsors invest in the teams. Mohammed's team have been working for 6 months on this machine alone.
The intake manifold is custom made by Hogan's, and obviously all the gears and material that we have to prepare a car for 1,000 plus horsepower.
It may be a different kind of horsepower, but there's something timeless about the pre-race rituals. Gladiators coming out to test their nerve and pit their vehicles, spluttering and popping like boxes of firecrackers against each other.
What the hell? Oh, it's like a crazy box of fireworks storming up a hill, where you feel like the driver doesn't care if the whole car blows up as long as it gets to the top.
And now it's Mohammed's big moment. The car didn't make the distance, and engine problems mean it's now a write-off and not able to do its second trial. But Mohammed didn't seem too downhearted.
I'm super excited. When you launch, seriously, under that dune, you just see like the end of it and you aim for it, and that's it. You forget about your fears, those butterflies in your stomach, nothing, seriously.
Oh, well, fantastic. Well done, my man.
Thank you.
Well done
Thank
for doing
you
that.
so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
A glorious fireworks display to match the fizzing and popping of the souped-up cars. 20 years ago, this extravaganza would have been unimaginable here. But this Emirates still has quite a climb to sell itself as a tourist destination on a par with its louder, more glamorous neighbour, Dubai. Using the heritage card, though, is a clever ploy, attractive to people who want something unique and off the beaten path. And that's as true of the Desert Festival as it is of the new Louvre. And the hope is that by taking this route, Abu Dhabi becomes a must-see destination in the Middle East.